This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Hey listeners, Barra here and welcome to the latest episode of the Iron Hour podcast. Proudly in association with TalkSport, the Fan Network, and our sponsors, Best Blanks Wholesale, Hole in the Wand, AC Photography and Videography, and No Film. Once again, a huge thank you to all of our partners for their continued support. Right, Marco, you are the only panellist with me today, and we have a chock-a-block episode, so a couple of guests coming up. At the back end of this episode, we will have Graham from the Tamworth podcast. So a little bit of a spy in the camp. We're returning back to the form of last season. And after we hear your thoughts, we will hear from one of Scunthorpe United's latest signings. Well, I say latest, I think it was one of the first signings of the summer transfer window, Mr. Dec Howe. So I'll grab your thoughts on his acquisition before we speak to him, but great to have him on the podcast, and I can't wait for that one. Right, we're recording this Thursday night. We're getting the fever. We're getting the nerves. We're anxious. We're happy. We're excited. It's close to the start of the season. I'm going to ask you how you're feeling, but how are you reacting to the news that's come out of the club today? Andy Boyce, skipper, and Carl Roberts, the vice.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Some would say I'm the only fan. Not only fans, the only fan. But
well, you are the podfather.
Let's not go there. But yeah, no big news coming out tonight. Perfectly timed actually for just before we've done this. So yeah, thanks.
So we've got some connections, haven't we?
Rudy, Jake, Butts. Anyway, whoever's made the decision to go live tonight, thank you. No, I don't think with Boyce there's any real surprise. I know previously we've mentioned. I know we've been speaking and we thought Boyce was the obvious choice. Obviously, I think you need that leader as a captain. And I'm just having listened to Butler on Humberside. He says he sort of demands respect, and I think looking outside in, you can see that with Boyce. Not only from a physical point of view, but he gets it. He knows what it means. And look, he's someone all the players obviously respect and they're happy to be led by. So yeah, I completely understand Boyce. Roberts on the other end of the scale, whereas he's not that sort of physical presence or not the most demanding player, but it's one of those. Look, I'm going to be quoted here, and I'll be getting clipped no doubt. But look, Sauer's captain for Liverpool. He leads by example, and that's how I see it. There, it's when you watch Roberts, and like I say, Butler says he takes pressure off players with his runs, and look, I think a lot of players look up to Roberts. He's obviously last season he was a level above. Be interesting to see what he does this season. He's looking very fit. He's had a really good pre-season. And look, Butler obviously trusts him to give him that number 2 spot. So I get it. Would I have thought he would have done Roberts? No, if I'm being totally honest, I wouldn't have thought it coming. But I do get it. I'm fully behind it. And look, I just actually seen on Humberside then, so they did a caption saying how important is a captain now? And I don't think they're as key as they once were. Before your captain was always sort of that midfield general. In the FC, I'm looking back at your Dawsons and there was always sort of helped referee the game, and I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think it is more of a case of leading by example, giving the players something to look at, and yeah, I think it's changing. The captaincy role is changing, but no, I'm a big fan of the two, and yeah, I hope it works out. But like I said, he's got the leadership team. He said you'll see Whitehall in there. That doesn't surprise me. Obviously Denton as well. And look, I think it's really positive. But yeah, obviously we were mentioning before, it possibly leads that Boyce will be a start of this season. I don't know what you think to that, but obviously we're coming on to our starting 11s later on in the podcast. But I think it leads towards he's going to be a real big fixture in the squad this year.
Yeah, I think it does hint at the fact that Boyce is going to start. You make a good point. What is a club captain? What is an actual captain? I don't know what the difference is, and they haven't really said what Boyce is, but I think it's safe to say we're going to play 5 at the back on Saturday. And if that is what, I can't see any other formation, mate. And if that is what he goes with, then I would expect Boyce will be in there. But we'll come on to our back five, but I've just realised I don't know if I've got a spot for JB in the squad in the starting lineup this week. So let's go on to that in a minute. But I just want to stick with your thoughts on Robert. So you said maybe didn't see it coming, but you can see those qualities. Yeah, it surprised me massively. I think Roberts gets sometimes. I've thought his attitude. He's got away with the fact of how good he is. Like he is the best player on the pitch at all times, and because other players aren't on his level, I've seen him get a little bit petulant. Toys out the pram. I've seen him get snappy at other players, and I don't know that they're leadership qualities. Maybe they are. Maybe it's a case of you bringing players up to your level. But yeah, I was a bit surprised with that one. To be honest, I would not have seen that one come in.
Yeah, no, it's demanding respect in sort of different ways. It's standards, and I mean a lot of the time, I feel really bad, and I'll make it up later to Starbuck because I have got him starting in my team. But I saw a few times last year where Starbuck, a few passes went wayward. Obviously, being on Carl Roberts' right-hand side, not getting the ball to him in key positions or straight passes, and he did lose his rag a bit. But let's be honest, so did we.
Yeah.
We're all in the stands, and it is frustrating. And look, Carl, he wears his heart on his sleeve. It's something he's maybe going to have to keep under wraps a little bit this season if he is captain on the pitch.
What you don't want him to go in on himself because
I don't. No,
like Rooney. Remember Rooney in the early days when he used to get ratty and then smash one in?
Just about to say the same thing. I want Wazza. I want Wazza. I want full. And look, nobody wants, like you said, no one wants Roberts to not be Carl Roberts. But yeah, you have just got to be a little bit careful. And no, the anger thing, I'm all for it. You've got to have a bit of
not angry. He's a bit of a bastard. Yeah.
Bit of bastard, and I'm all for it. And
that surprises me.
Look, you've got to trust in Andy Butler's judgment. Last season, we were all very unsure. He did his job, so we can only assume. Same again this year.
Right, Marco, we are quickly running out of time before we get Dec on, but we've got so many questions from the fans, so we'll try and get through as many as we can. Yeah, what fantastic engagement we've had. So Mikey Wright says, do we have enough defensive cover to use the 3-2, the 5-2-3, the 5-2-3 / the 3-4-3 we have seen for the most of pre-season? I think we're short of a centre-back, despite Rose and Barrows probably covering if needed. I'm not sure we're short of a centre-back, are we, Marco?
No, I mean, so I've got a back five. I'll say it later. But, I mean, I've got a spare left-back. I've got a spare centre-back. And when Barrows comes back, I think we've also got a spare right-back. And obviously, it's a position Ollie Rose can cover as well. I mean, defender-wise, just to list them off, we've got Horton, who's had a really good pre-season, JB, Barrows, when he comes back in, Evans, Boyce, Rose, who's versatile, can play across the back four, centre-back or right-back, and also Starbuck, who finished the season really well, as much as you wanted to slag him off. But look, it's like I said there's 8 players there, so I think...
Marco, how is he getting like 4 or 5 of them on the pitch?
Oh no! Obviously, we're going to come on to that later. It's
some big players are missing out here.
I know we spoke regularly with Will from Brackley, and he says the squad looks weaker. But I mean, me and you both agree it's a very healthy squad now. And
this is better than last season.
Possibly not defenders, but I can see 2 or 3 going on. The only question mark is the goalkeeping dilemma.
Of course,
I think that's gonna reign across the season because let's be honest, as much as I love Watson. And as much as I think Campbell could be a good goalkeeper, neither are Ross Fitzsimmons. No. And we have to accept that. So, yeah, no, it's a really good question, Mikey. Thank you. But I think this squad is set up to play 5 at the back, or 3, as Butler will no doubt say. So, yeah.
Right. So, next question comes from Ben Maidman. And Ben says, what do you think of the whole recruitment over the course of the summer? Do we have enough depth all around? And what would your starting 11 be for Tamworth? So let's get stuck into that then. Starting 11.
Well, first of all, I think the signing been really impressive. The recruitment.
Standout signing.
Standout for me, and I think I'm going to have to agree with Butler. What a player Ewan is. I mean, I've only managed to get to 1 pre-season game, and then the rest I've been going off Gareth Fox and club highlights, which haven't been great. So admittedly, I'm probably not the best guy to answer that, but Ewan does look a little bit special.
A bit like you in that respect. Can I chuck in a Barrow prediction? Because these always age so well. he will be our player of the season. Ollie Ewing.
We both said Carlton last year.
Well, the last 15 games he was, mate.
Yeah, but what a 15 games. So great question. So my 11 is I'm going to get absolute pelters, but it's
Go on, then. Let's have it.
only going off what I've seen pre-season and obviously last season. So I think Campbell will be in net.
It's got to be. He
There's
came out 5 weeks ago and said he's my number one.
Yeah, and Watson's obviously. I think did someone say? I heard it mentioned he picked up a niggle or something.
I think it was a sickness. I think.
Right. Okay. So look, I think just to be sure, and it covers Butler as well. I think he will go Campbell. And look, Tamworth are a physical team.
Yeah.
I think you pick the bigger goalkeeper. I've got a back three.
Yeah.
Rose, Boyce, and Evans.
Yeah, presuming that's Rose on the right. Yeah.
Rose on the right of the back three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boyce in centre, and again, I think that works really well against Tamworth's big aerial threat, throw-ins, free kicks, everything, which is part of their game.
Starbuck at right back.
I'm going Starbuck right wing back. I'm going Denton left wing back.
Yeah, okay.
For reasons. Horton's, it's harsh on Horton leaving him out, but look, Denton to me was a big standout last year and really liked Denton.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll play a defensive one if we're playing a 5. I think it might be a flat 2 of Rowe.
Okay. Rowley and Ewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rowley possibly fitting into more of a Michael Coonan role than Ewing, but I just don't see where else.
So what's it then? Just 3 attackers?
I'm going a front 3 of Roberts, Whitehall, and Chadwick.
Yeah, obviously, presumably that's Roberts on the right, Whitehall in the centre, and Chadwick on the left.
But look, I mean, it won't be that. There's so many good players missing out on that team. Like
big names missing there.
Dec Howe, we've obviously got on the podcast later. They're all screaming for starts. It's a good squad and it's a good problem to have. And I know last week on the podcast we mentioned about the extra games. Obviously, Sunderland under 21s, and these are the games they play, and it gives them a chance to show what they've got. So I'm all for that.
Some huge. I mean, the fact that JB doesn't even get on your 11, and he probably doesn't get on mine either, by the way. But that's huge.
Come Saturday, he might get in Butler's, and that's all that matters. I mean, we don't have a clue. But I think Rose in that back 5 would work really nicely, and I think that's maybe what it's been bought in for. So it'd be interesting.
I just wonder if I think mine's similar to yours. I just wonder if JB will replace Rose, maybe, and I'm not as convinced as you are that Chadwick will start. I think I could see Beeston slotting in on that left. I know he's not a winger, but Butler will do anything to get him on the pitch.
I agree with you. And look, he's got that work rate. He drops back if Denton wants to go on and add one. I fully agree. It's that's mine. I'd go Chadwick, but
mine's similar. I think JB comes in for Rose on mine, and I think Beeson probably comes in for Chadwick on mine.
I can see it.
Similar.
My main not concern. Sort of. Because I think you maybe want Ewing slightly higher up the pitch than in a 2 in the midfield. But I just don't see what else you can do. Rowe is the only slightly defensive midfielder we've got. So unless anyone comes in from now till Saturday or early on in the season who plays that role, I think that's what we might see.
Right. Tom Hill says, do we need a couple of players out in order to give them minutes of their own for their development as well as happiness? Can I take that one?
Please do.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll be sending anyone out just yet, particularly with our National League Cup campaign kicking off on Tuesday night. I think that is definitely, there's six games, I think, 6 games in there to go at. That's enough to keep people happy. A couple of bounce games chucked in as well. Suddenly you could end up playing 10 games by being a fringe player. So no, I think I won't be looking to send anyone out yet. There might get a point in the season where you're looking at players like, I don't know, am I thinking here? Maybe Carlton might be wanting to get out at some point, but no, for now, I'd stick with what we've got and try and get them game time in the cup competition. Probably Dawson as well fits into that one.
Which is mental. Like, look how Carlton ended the season last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, mate. It's rough, isn't it?
In that forward line, it's just so hot. But look, Carlton will be fighting for his place. It's good competition. It's healthy. Now I'm all for it.
Okay, so Tom Shucksmith says, what Butler is testing aside, Marco, if you were the manager, what formation would you say best suits the calibre of players we have in the building right now, and what's your reasoning for that?
Formation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's set up for a 5.
What would you based on the? I know like you probably recruit differently, right? But with the players you've got, you wake up tomorrow, you're in charge. It's Stella and pies before kick off. What are you playing?
I think it's important to adapt. I feel like you can get caught up. I mean, you see these managers at the top flight with their philosophy. Obviously, I'm a
What
Man
is
United, for
yours?
example.
Yeah, what's yours? Because I'm very defensive minded. I'm from the Andy Butler school. Like I'd get
I
six
mean,
if you could.
yeah, I mean, the Italian side of me just wants to a solid back four. I do
Yeah,
like two banks of four, and then having enough quality at the top end of the pitch to hurt teams, and then sort of rest on your laurels. But that's me. That's the Italian side. I like a 4-3-3, and I think we've got players in them wide areas that can hurt teams. Um, I don't look. We haven't mentioned Beck,
no, I
right?
don't.
Argument. I don't see where he fits in. But I do think he's the more likely. I said last week, the more likely of the strikers to be on the bench. But yeah, it's a good question. Look, like you said, it down to recruitment, but I think Butler's built a team here for five at the back. I don't want to get stuck on that sort of the narrative last year. Five at the back just became the main talking point
Yeah,
and like a big deal, and it's really not. If it's you start whatever formation that Butler thinks is best to win that game, and you can adapt throughout the game. And I think there's players in that back five. For example, you could move Rose across to a right back, Boyce and Evans centre back, and put Denton as a left back. Sub Starbuck and put that extra on the midfield. It's very versatile. It's got players that can play two or three positions now.
yeah.
So yeah, no, look, I didn't think I'd be saying this last season, but especially for teams like Tamworth, which is what we're talking about, I think the back five's the right option.
Yeah, fair play. Right, Ethan Short has been in touch, and Ethan says minimum points return by the end of August, and what will be deemed a good month. So, Marco, we've got 6 games, 6 league games in August, so I'll go through them. So we're not putting you on the spot. Obviously,
I'll write down
yeah,
how many we're going to buy each game.
yeah, we're kicking off away at Tamworth.
Yeah,
Then we're home to Woking. This is
yeah.
the league fixtures. Home to Morecambe. Let's work off the assumption that that game will happen.
Will happen.
Yeah.
I feel that's harsh because
Okay, let's take it out then.
yeah, we're not going to put a squad together.
Yeah.
If we do that, I'd be very
Okay.
concerned.
Away at Sutton,
Yeah,
home to Halifax,
yeah.
and away to Brackley. So that's 5 league games.
Yeah,
Marco, what's our points return?
I've got us on 6 points.
That's not good. Talk me
I've got us
through
on 6.
those results.
I've got us an away point at Tamworth, which I don't think there's any shame in
Yeah,
that.
okay, that's good.
But again, if you put Morecambe in there, it's 9. It's
Yeah.
and look, this won't be right. I've got us beating Woking at home.
Yeah, so that's 4.
Yeah, I've got us getting beat
At Sutton, was it?
Sutton away.
Yeah, okay.
I think that'll be a tough game.
Yeah.
Down south, I think that might be a tough one. Then I've got us drawing to Halifax.
Okay.
And the last game I've got us drawing as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a draw at Tamworth,
Yeah,
beat Woking,
yeah.
draw at Sutton. I'm gonna say we draw with Halifax and we beat Brackley.
Do you think we got unbeaten in August?
I think we'll go unbeaten in 5,
You-
mate. 5 games. I could see us not losing in 5 games. Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
an unbelievable shout.
I think that would be unbelievable. I think that's fantastic, August.
It'd be
So
a
I
great
think-
return, but I don't think it's as crazy as you think it is. I think 6 points from 5 games is not a good return.
Yeah, but over the course of the season, it'd be enough.
Correct.
And I think that's all that matters at the minute.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Butler.
No,
Right.
look,
What has happened to you?
the home form's important.
Yeah.
Halifax will be a really tough game. We're an established National League team now. Obviously lost in the playoffs last year. That'll be tough. Working at home won't be easy, but I do think we'll get that over the line. And look, you south ones, obviously your Suttons and your Brackleys, we're not nice places to go. So it's but look, I hope you're right. I hope you're wrong, and we get even more. But yeah.
So let's have another question. We've got away days. Let me just check that is away days. So we've got Iron away days, and Iron away days says, What's the expectation for the season? Do you guys expect a decent cup run for once? I'd love a cup run, Marco, wouldn't you?
I'd like one if it didn't affect the league. No, I think deep down, even the most like hardened fans would love a cup run. It's something we've not had for a long time. Obviously, your obvious ones, your Man Cities, your Chelsea's, more recent times, Man United at home. It'd be great. It'd be great for the club on a financial basis. And yeah, look, it'd be a really nice change compared to what we've had. I'm not talking Worcester penalties,
Yeah.
but no, it would be nice to have a cup run. We've just been mentioning the squad. It's really important to utilise it, and if we could do it in that way, and obviously the extra cup, then so be it. And I think we've got enough quality in there to have a good shot at it. So yeah, hopefully we do give it a good go.
Okay, I'm going to read this next question out. I don't know that we can answer it, but we'll do us level best. So Toro Loco says, why do you think the club didn't take advantage of the hype of winning promotion with the fans? Everyone would have been more likely to put their hand in the pockets whilst the hype was fresh. Right, so I'm gonna push back on this one slightly. So I don't think the club did miss an opportunity with the hype around promotion. I would say actually it was just a few people online that were pushing a rather negative agenda. I'm not so sure the opportunity did slip them by. Now, in terms of the club maybe missing some commercial opportunities, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have missed a couple of opportunities, but only they can answer that one really. If they've been, yeah, right. But that's not for me to answer. But in terms of like the hype and the wave of optimism, I don't think that if that did fall away, I don't really think you can level that at the club's door. I think there were a few people online hell bent on, I don't know, kicking off basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a very new. They're all very new owners. They're all in this for the first time. None of them have done anything like this, so there will be some mistakes on the way. And I sort of agree with you. I don't think we've done anything too wrong. I am surprised to see that they've not gone down the route of obviously our financial situation isn't. It's not a. It's open for everyone to see. I'm surprised we didn't go the route down early of sort of your Darlington and everything with a
Boost
funding.
the budget. I
Yeah,
agree, mate. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
like to.
and I feel like that's sort of obviously I know the trust obviously tried with the shares and everything. It's sort of a different way of doing it.
Yeah, you see, the problem with that, mate, is they were on about ring fencing shares for money that didn't yet exist, and I
Yeah,
think that's you're struggling.
but for me, I think obviously as was it Toro Loco?
Yeah,
Great name. Yeah, I think obviously on he's mentioning the hype. I think a month, 2 months after promotion, if you did a boost for budget with things how they work,
agreed. Yeah,
I think we'd have hit a really good amount. I mean, we showed just what Scunthorpe can do with the staff wages, and I think
yeah.
we'd have had a really good crack at it, and we would have been able to strengthen even further, possibly even buy another keeper. But look, it's having it nearer there. It's they're just doing the best. So yeah, it's a
You
good
know,
question.
I'll take that one on the chin. You're right there. A boost the budget, probably. I think they've missed. I think they've.
Yeah, 100%. I do. And look, it's down and do it on a regular basis. I think Chester have done it as well.
Yeah.
Both invested heavily into the teams, and I do think it makes a difference. And look, fans are willing to back the team, and Scunthorpe have showed that time and time again. So that does to me raise a few question marks. But look, there might be a reason. So
Final question we'll get through from the fans, and it's a nice one. Tom says, nice and easy one. Score predictions for the Tamworth game.
I'm with you. I think
Draw.
1-1.
Yeah, I think 2-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, let me ask you a question, and let me ask you another question. If it's going to be a draw, would you prefer a goal scoring entertaining game where you get your money's worth? Or actually would you like to see Campbell keep a clean sheet? Would you like a 0-0?
100% 0-0. I've got no concern whatsoever that Whitehall will score goals this season. So for the first game to be 0-0 and him not score one, yeah, I'm not panicking too much just yet. Whereas I think that a clean sheet means more to Campbell than a goal does to
Yeah.
Whitehall. So yeah,
It's a hard stance, that isn't it? That we are kind of advocating there. We would like to see a bit more, not boring football, but it would benefit us.
well, look, we're a podcast full of butlers at the minute. I bet he's loving this. But no, it's true. I do think, yeah, the clean sheet, get them out of the way. And I think that's going to have to be our stance throughout the season. A lot of games is to not concede and see where we can get a goal from.
Yeah.
Obviously not in our home games, but away games, especially tough physical ones like Tamworth's going to be at the weekend. I think that's probably the right way to approach it.
Nice one. Right, that wraps up the questions from the fans. Just before we get Dec Howe in, how do you see this season going, Marco?
How do I see it going? Throughout pre-season, I've gained a lot more optimism. I don't know if that's just my naivety of being a Scunthorpe fan. And
Well, I think a lot of that is due to the fact that the squad is assembling is better than the one I expected. I'm not expecting miracles, but these players are of a higher caliber than I thought we would sign.
100%. And look, it's not only that; it's the ones we've kept. It's
Yeah,
your likes of your Dentons, your Whitehalls. Look, who'd have thought last year we'd still be talking about Carl Roberts being a Scunthorpe player on this
I,
podcast?
yeah. I think the point is, and I think you're going to make this. I don't want to go in. I don't want to keep going over and over and over this, but the keeper situation is clearly one that there's a question mark over, and that won't get a resolution until Campbell keeps 2 or 3 clean sheets from the first 5 games. Right? That's not going to get resolved until that happens.
And look, I
But
mean, we hope he does.
yeah, but keeper situation aside, other than the loss of obviously Maxi and Fitzy, I think you can live with it. Even Cloonan's.
I think you've lost a leader in Clunan. I think that's
Yeah,
the big voice. I think he's a natural captain and a natural leader, whereas Boyce might not be a natural captain, but he's someone who can fill into that role.
yeah.
Whereas Clunan, he was cut out to be a captain, if that makes sense. So I do think we'll miss that voice. And he was one of them, to be fair, who sort of chased the referee down. I know he got a bit of stick for passing sideways, or he didn't really get that great a goal return. But no, I think Clunan's your big miss. Obviously Fitzsimmons and Clunan. Coogan's pace. And Coogan had a great season as well and pops up with some important goals. So, look, time will tell. But like you said, this season, I mean, the more it goes on, man, again, this is just my naivety. The closer it gets to Saturday, I'm thinking we can possibly get
We're going to do it.
10 to 13th is my prediction.
That'd be unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right, mate. We are quickly getting through this podcast. So let's get him in. Mr. Dec Howe. So here he is. Thanks for joining us, Dec. Really appreciate you coming on. How are you feeling ahead of the weekend?
Yeah, looking forward to it. As I just mentioned there before we came on, I'm looking forward to getting the competitiveness. So,
Sorry, we'll get it right for the proper one, mate. Get your stumbles out of the way now.
But yeah, just like I said, looking forward to it. It's been a good pre-season, so heading into it, feeling confident and hopefully getting a good result.
Important to get a couple of pre-season goals under your belt.
Yeah, definitely. Even though as such it might not mean anything, but it's nice to get back out there and scoring and hopefully take it into the season too.
Yeah,
everyone, go on, Marco.
Obviously, you mentioned scoring there. Obviously, last season you hit a purple patch. Finish it FA Cup's top scorer.
Second top.
Second top.
Told you, mate. I told you.
FA Trophy top goal scorer, FA Cup.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously 39 goals in 56 games is some feat. Obviously, we mentioned you got a few goals there early in the pre-season. Is that something, obviously, if you set any targets for next season or where you think you could be at, or obviously it's a few divisions higher, is that anything you're looking at?
Yeah, of course. As a striker, you always like to set yourself a target before the season starts, but I think even though it's you got to respect the league that you're coming into, you still want to set your targets high and obviously aim for as many goals as you possibly can. Along with that, if it works, also getting the assists for the team, and as long as we're climbing the table and the team are getting positive results.
Everyone talks about like an Andy Butler pre-season and how brutal it is. Is it the dogs?
It's tough, yeah, it is. It's enjoyable though. It's not a case of, I remember looking in last year and thinking it looked tough. But when you're in there, you've got the lads supporting you, even the staff. And it's not a case of you thinking God, I can't wait to get this finished. You're still enjoying it. And essentially, you're turning up every day and you're looking forward to getting going again. And at the end of the day, it's whatever you put in, you're going to get out of it. So it's not a case of, turning up and thinking, get this over and done with. You're trying to push yourself to the max to then go into the season with full fitness. So yeah, it's not as bad as what you think.
I sort of felt for the team, like, obviously I know on social media we did the before and after videos of like, this is me before a run, or this is me
Yeah,
before a
yeah.
spin class. And it must be so frustrating because like Butler can probably do it to the same level as the team. So you've just got like no excuses at all. But like, yeah, it's so funny to see.
That is it. That is it. Because he's
That one of Danny
well,
White. God, that one of Danny White all day. He looked like he'd just been caught by the hunters, mate, afterwards. Did you see that?
yeah, he's been put through it, hasn't he? But no, he's like you say, about the gaffer. He can do it himself, and he does it with us. So we've got no excuses, and just in the same breath, it's like you say, you want to make sure that you're pushing yourself, and again, getting the max out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
We picked up last season that there's obviously a lot of characters. We had Danny Whitehall on the podcast last season, and he is an absolute barrel of laughs. What are kind of the biggest characters in camp this season, and any kind of like skullduggery going on?
Yeah, without saying too much,
Spill it all, mate. We don't.
yeah. Whitehall's a funny character, Me and him the other day was having a good laugh. Just something so irrelevant, just naming players or saying things differently, and all the childish stuff that makes the day go along. So it's there's a few good characters in there. Everyone's supportive and everyone's jumping on the banter. So you can't. It's hard to say. One or two make the changing room, but like you say, Whitehall, what he's like. He's
I mean,
he's a character himself.
I mean, obviously staying with sort of Whitehall. Obviously, me, I can't talk because I'm bald, and VB for boss definitely can't talk in that corner. So, what's Whitehall doing with his hair? I saw today he had a parting.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is that about?
He's experimenting, isn't he? He
He's
believes.
seen Ollie Ewing, mate, get all that attention.
That's it. He thinks he's got it all in the locker, you see. So he's seen where he can go with it and taking reactions, but he backs himself at the same time. So
What I'm going to ask this as nice as I can. So I'm thinking Whitehall's got the best banter. Who's his dad?
Oh,
oh,
he's got training tomorrow.
Yes.
yeah, very careful here. I've got to say, just because he's in my car school, is Brandon. He's a quiet figure.
Strikes me
I
as
know he
quite.
won't give me any shit for it, so
Safe bet, I like it.
Obviously, you're
yeah.
saying obviously about targets and stuff, and obviously being at the National League now. What sort of team? Obviously, your brother playing at York, they're obviously the early favourites for the league. Who are you most looking to play in? Obviously, away or at home, or what's the game that stands out to you? The first one you looked at when the fixtures came out.
First one's obviously York. Looking at that and seeing when the fixtures are. Other than that, I'm just quite excited to go to a few clubs really. Obviously Choro, how far that is. You look and see when that is, and when you've got the away journey. But even like little clubs, not little clubs, but clubs that that again probably my brother's been at, like Eastleigh, because I've been there a few times to watch him when Cow was playing there. So it'd be interesting to go and play there. Boston, I enjoyed playing there last season when we played them in the FA Cup. The pitch is great, and hopefully I can get a couple of goals there this season again, and get a positive result like we did last season.
What did your brother have to say about your signing for Scunny? Because obviously you were both in the academy. He played for the first team. I think did he have 3 seasons in our first team? So did he have kind of anything to say on the move?
No, it was just all complimentary and positive. To be fair to him, he said, it's a good club to be at. And he was asking, if certain people were still here that he knew from his time here. But I think in the back of his head, he's probably also thinking, I hope he doesn't score against me this season. But yeah, he's just like I say, he was compliments and saying it's probably the best club I could be at.
Let's look at the academy days then. I'm a massive advocate for youth football. I think the 780 project actually at Scunthorpe is something pretty decent at the minute, but we know the academy is closed. What did your academy days look like?
I enjoyed them. When we was in the academy at my age group, we was in the shed back then. So, to be fair, looking back in the winter days, I don't think I enjoyed them so much when we was in the shed and you get in there and it's absolutely freezing, and then within 5 minutes it's red hot. So, but it was good. The academy was good. There was a lot of faces that came through it as well. Ross was in my year group, and I think he'd vouch for it as well. And the training and even the setup as such, it was a good academy to be in.
I've heard a lot about this shed. So obviously Henry Lansbury went on. Is it under the cosh? I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah.
I mean, he was
Seeing
getting
that, yeah.
this shed a lot of shit, and he was saying like some mornings were like rats running about the pitches. Was it that bad?
It was an interesting one. It
Yes.
was yeah, it was basically like a little barn. You walked in there and you had a little strip where you'd go in, put all your stuff down, and then you just walk onto the 3G, and it was a tiny little 3G. But the only good thing was is that when you was training there, you knew for a fact you'd end up in five O's and mini games at the end of it because it was just so small and it was perfect for the games. So it'd just be a case of standing behind where the net was, when your team's not playing, and then as soon as a goal goes in or whatever, you're jumping on. So you knew you was getting a good end to the session.
I'm going to ask you a question about your time at Gainsborough because obviously it's been nice that you've been able to stay local last couple of seasons, but playing under a Scunthorpe United legend like Russ Wilcox, what was that like? I mean, I can't imagine you've got anything bad to say about him, but how does that kind of compare to Andy Butler, a more experienced manager, someone a bit older and someone just new to it?
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, I've got nothing but good words to say about Russ. Obviously, the time that I had with him, it was great. He put all his confidence and trust into me, and that, luckily we both got the rewards from it when I was at Gainsborough. So I think even in the same breath that the gaffer and Russ are close, they speak. So Russ passed on his knowledge about me to the gaffer. And I think the he's been great since I've come in, to be honest. He's, put his faith in me and he's given me the platform again. So hopefully, we can get a relationship and hopefully the same results as what me and Russ had.
Just coming to an end then, Dec, as we are looking ahead to this season, I don't expect you to share with us your own personal goals and ambitions, but what are you expecting from this squad of players? What do you think is kind of at the upper end of their expectations?
Our expectations are, finish as high as we can. We know it's not going to be a given compared to, last year where the benchmark was promotion. Luckily, the club succeeded in that, but this year we know it's going to be a little bit tougher. We're probably not going to be as much as a given in results and games, but in the same breath, I think every single one of us in that changing room, whether you're in the starting 11 or not, you're going to put your all into it. And the thing that we demand from each other as a minimum is the work rate and the effort and, everything that comes along with that, and making sure that, yourselves watching not going to sit there and think they're not giving, what they can and we're just rolling over. It's not going to be a case of that, like you said, the Gaffers teams are always, well known for working hard, being a squad that's together and putting their all out on the pitch.
Last question then. For us fans, getting towards the start of the season, it's like, you're like a kid before Christmas. You can't wait. You're looking at the fixtures, first game of the season, brilliant. It's away from home. What's it like as a player on that final countdown? Have you got any kind of nerves going into this weekend, or is it really not like that as a professional?
Um, Probably more excitement, Like I say, pre-season's great because you're meeting the lads and you're getting to know each other, you're getting to know how each other's plays, but then coming into, you just want to be in the real business, come the end of pre-season, you're wanting to get into the games where you're thinking, we've got something on the line here, and, there's nothing better than walking off the pitch with 3 points or, a cup win or something. So it's just more excitement than it is nerves, I'd say. And like you say, we're wanting to step off the pitch with 3 points, and there's no better feeling than walking off on a competitive game than walking off in a pre-season game. It's not the same where you've won the game, but you're thinking doesn't really mean that much in a sense. So yeah, looking forward to it and getting to know everyone and meeting everyone too.
Yes, I've just got a quick one. I know you said that was the last one. Obviously, just before we came on this podcast, we've just announced that Boyce is captain for the season. How's that sort of came about pre-season? And obviously, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think he's going to be a good captain going into the season? And sort of just how it came about and how he acts towards that?
Yeah, I mean, he's an experienced player, and to be honest, he does do a lot behind the scenes. Obviously, you guys probably don't see it as much, but
We
he's
love
a vocal
Boise.
figure.
We absolutely love Boise.
Yeah, yeah. He's a good guy as well. He's someone that we can all go to, and if we have any concerns or if we want in something, raised, he's going to back you, and he's someone that you can go to openly. So he'd be great for us as players, and even Cal, being vice captain, just in the same breath, you can go to them both. You know that they're going to demand the utmost in the game, and set a benchmark for us all. So, yeah, just like I say, both good guys and good to have as the skippers.
Obviously, you mentioned Cal there. Who's sort of obviously coming obviously from Gainsborough pre-season? Who sort of stood out to you? Obviously, you mentioned Cal there. Who like in pre-season you thought, yeah, he's the next level. A
Um,
couple, or I hope there's a couple.
yeah, yeah, there is. In games, obviously, like you say, Cal stands out. I think Ollie's been class as well. In training, it's his body's just on a swivel. It's the way he turns and stuff with the ball is great. And other lads, every one of them out there, to be fair, has got something, and otherwise, they wouldn't be in the squad, or Gaffer wouldn't bring him in. So there's a lot of people that you'll probably see different aspects in games, and everyone's got different strengths and weaknesses. But collectively, we're a solid squad and should do well.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's brilliant. Thanks for that, Dec, and best of luck for the season, mate.
No worries. Thank you. See you both soon.
Marco, how good was that?
Unreal.
Best guest?
He's up there, isn't it? I don't want to do Whitehall, and obviously Elliot were fantastic, wasn't he? But
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. Oh, I don't want Danny after me for starters. But yeah, no, look, really exciting to hear from him, and we're blessed to have this opportunity to have the players on here and to sort of give us a brief about the season and how they feel and their own personal circumstances. So yeah, really good to hear. He's obviously really ambitious with goal scoring, and let's hope. Look, Saturday's coming. Let's hope Howe gets on or in the team. Look, we don't know. We don't have a clue. We said
It's,
that's
it's just it's just nice to have a less controversial take on things, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. It's really light-hearted, and look, Dec's an absolute bagsman going off last year, and that is the best habit to be in his goal scoring. And where if you're scoring goals, you're going to get into any team. So yeah, look, let's hope he's fit for the season. Like we say, he's going to get plenty of opportunities to be playing and scoring. So let's just hope he keeps it on, and it'd be really interesting to see him play against his brother. That could get a little bit feisty.
Right, mate, before we have all our spy in the camp, talk to me about FPL. What's the crack?
That's all to you.
Talk
So
to me. Get on it, boy.
speaking of players, iron players, if you think you can beat them, we haven't got Butler yet, but I don't know if Butler would fancy.
I'm working on it. I'm
I
working on
don't, I don't know if Butler would fancy being beaten by other managers.
it.
But
What would
yeah,
his team name be? Back fives matter.
oh Jesus Christ! But yeah, so we've got Whitehall signed up, we've got Dent signed up. There's a few more thinking they're keen to join as well. So if you think you can beat them, Last year we had a lot of people in the league. We've got over 180 already for this season. It's going to be brilliant. There's going to be prizes. Look, we do pods every week. There's no messing around here. And look, there'll be regular updates. If you want to join the league, it's everywhere on our socials, but I will put it on again. Password is 06WM for Marco KT. And look, it's going to be brilliant. And just don't come last. So we sent the trophies out from last
Can
year.
you just give us that again?
06.
I think it's 06.
Is it 06? Well, 06.
Let me check. What are you doing to me?
We've just lost a league member.
Right, so it is.
Come on, you do it right.
Oh, not 0. 06.
WMKT. But like I said, we will put it on our socials if you're not sick of seeing us already. It's really, look, Premier League's getting hype. It's heating up. Last year were fantastic. I think Becky actually did the best out of us all last year.
Rough that, isn't it? Really rough.
Really rough. So if you think you can beat Becky or the rest of the Iron Hour podcast gang, then definitely join. But yeah, you've got a lot to answer for because Whitehall's in there. Roberts is knocking about the new vice captain. So yeah, definitely get joined up and like I said, it's a good laugh.
Right, we're going to finish with this week's Spy in the Camp, which is, as I say, Graham from the Tamworth podcast. But before we do, because this is the last time you'll hear us, we'll see you at the weekend, Iron fans. Thank you once again for tuning in to this episode of the Iron Hour podcast. Great to see Marco modelling the new away kit there. And look at that. What size is that? What are the sizes like?
True to fit. This is a small men's.
Yeah. A small men's?
But they are quite muscle fit, which is why you can see most of the abs. But yeah, they are quite true to size.
The American sizes.
But yeah, see you Saturday, lads. Get down there, up the boys. It's coming home.
We've had a pretty solid pre-season. So I think some of the fixtures we've had not necessarily the strongest teams. We've played a lot of under-21 teams as well. But yeah, I mean, we've had some decent results across it. I think we've won most of them, and we've only lost 2. We lost 1 to Barrow, who played quite a strong team from League 2, and then we did lose our final friendly against Leamington actually, away from home. But I mean, I'm probably not going to read too much into that. Probably players who didn't really want to put themselves out as much for that, looking forward to the game to Scunthorpe. So yeah, I think overall it's been pretty decent, and you can see that things are sort of starting to gel together. People were sort of fairly excited as some of these new players have kind of come in and started gelling. So with the National League, when we first came up, so we can remember the first 2 games last season quite well, really. So we started with a 1-1 draw against Sutton United at home, and we probably should have won that game, if I'm honest. And when you looked at that, we didn't get rolled over on the first day. Sutton United had just come down from League 2. I think it was a really good result. Then we went up to York City, second game away from home, and I mean they won 2-0, but they absolutely blew us away, to be perfectly honest. They were a really good side, and you kind of thought, well, I can really see the difference here. Everything was just a lot quicker. So much more of the ball was on the ground, and we just looked like we just about clung on in the first half, and then we were kind of struggling after that. But I think we slowly adapted. It took us a bit of a little while to kind of get into it. And in some ways, you might have seen or heard about it, but we played Barnet away from home, and that was the one we lost 7-0. And you thought, could be in for a long season here. We'd had a couple of decent results though just before that. We built Aldershot at home and stuff. And they were the only sort of team that stopped the Tom Tonks throw. So they'd actually spent a whole day apparently just on the Tom Tonks throw, and I think they're pretty much the only team that sort of did that throughout the season. To be perfectly honest. honest. But after that, we got some decent results and some momentum, and then by the time we got into the new year, we'd sort of got ourselves clear of the relegation zone and everything, and we were looking up the table rather than down. So I think it was tough to begin with, but we adapted really well, and obviously we've done quite well in terms of where we finished as well. I think a lot of people that allude to the fact that we're part-time, and it does fascinate me at times, because you think that the teams we're playing against are training every day. That's their job. We've got players who are bricklayers. I think we did have a teacher in there that we do now, but a university lecturer. We've got people who are a taxi driver, I think, and a few other different things, and then they're just working their normal shifts, and then coming out and playing for Tamworth. And I think a lot of it is built around spirit and togetherness and all of those things. But we've I think we've sort of like built it all around that, and sometimes that's stronger than obviously sort of than skill set, and it helps us defy the odds quite a lot. But I think this season, when you look at our squad, we've got a much stronger squad than I would say that we had at the start of last season, and we got some good experience in there, and some good players. I think we can build on that. So thoughts on Scunthorpe for the coming season? Difficult to say, to be honest. I mean, I think you guys have made some good signings in the summer, and I imagine your fan base is going to be expecting you not to be just surviving, but to be doing a lot more. But I think I suppose if I compare it to sort of say Yeovil last season, and they came up, and I think the expectations are probably quite high, even for them coming up, and I mean that they just ended up finishing mid-table in the end. And I think probably for you guys that's got to be where you realistically want to aim for, because I think there's plenty of so-called big clubs in that league who on paper should be further up the table, but it just doesn't work out like that in the National League. It's a crazy league, and same with the National League North as well. There's plenty of clubs that think they have a right to be in the National League, but they are where they are for a reason. So I think I suppose you just got to be realistic, haven't you? And the size of the club and what you should have behind you, then you think you should be definitely in the top half. But it's adapting, isn't it? And you've been playing National League North, and this is a step up in quality now, and it's to see whether your new players gel and all that, and the manager can adapt to what's coming and the team. So I think you've got to. For me, it's a mid-table finish. I would say is probably a realistically good aim for you guys. Expectations for this season. We discussed this on our last pod. Really, I mean, for us, we had an amazing season last season, finishing in the top 10, and we could have even probably got to the playoffs, albeit some couple of results that didn't go our way, but could have gone either way, really. It's difficult to say. What I would say is that our main remit is always to just stay in the National League. As a club that's still part-time, albeit we now got a full-time manager. It's obviously we're up against it. I think we're sort of one of 3 part-time clubs now in the National League. So for us it's stay up first, and whatever else that we can do, then brilliant. But for me personally, it's just to stay in the National League. But I think we're listening to some of the players, and the interviews in pre-season. They want to build on what was done last season, and they're ambitious, and just talk about being in the top half and towards the playoffs and all of that, and that's what their aim is. So I think there's absolutely no harm in having that ambition, and I think if we think that we can do it, then yeah, so be it. But I think we also have to be realistic as well, and the first aim is to get ourselves away from the danger zone, and make sure that we're well above those relegation places. Wow, what a season we had, or the one one season we had back in the National League North. I don't think anybody was expecting that we would get promoted, let alone probably reach the playoffs. To be perfectly honest, I think that after sort of 6 years of being in the Southern League, everybody was kind of mostly resigned to the fact that we just want to stay back in the National League North, and anything else was sort of was a bonus really. But I think as the season went on, I mean, we were saying on our podcast that we weren't kind of getting that excited, or we were trying not to get excited, shall we say. But I remember sort of thinking it was around about the January, February time when we'd had quite a lot of injuries, and we saw a run of about, I think it was about 6 games where they all looked tough, and we sort of managed to get through them all in one way or another, where it would be winning or drawing. And to be honest, at times, you know, we did a lot of frustrating teams, and just we defended very well. I mean, we conceded hardly any goals. Jazz Singh had an absolute blinder. Our whole defence did really, and yeah, it was obviously a fantastic season for us. And I think in the end, we thoroughly deserved it with trying to pit our wits up against you guys. Yeah, it was. I think that it was interesting when we played that game up against Scunthorpe away from home at your place, because it got postponed on the Saturday, and then it got moved to the Tuesday night, and there was a lot of I think there was a few sort of bitter kind of Tamworth fans thinking that Scunny were trying to move it in their favour, or because they had a few injuries, etc. I don't know, but it was I suppose the odds looked like it was stacked against us, and for us to kind of to go to your place and do a job, big ground, big club, I think we did tremendously well, but I think that was kind of how we played all season. We were frustrated teams, but then we blew teams away at times as well, and we had a style and a way of playing which definitely some of the other clubs were kind of got frustrated about, and it's interesting really because the way we played last season was actually quite different, and I'd say we played better football last season than we did when we went up, but it's not about kind of how you play, it's how many goals you put in the back of the net and how many points you get on the board. And I guess maybe you guys have probably took some learnings from that into last season, and hence why you're obviously coming up to the National League. Standout players for us, I mean, we are predominantly very, very strong in terms of our wingers. Andy Peake's really prides himself on getting some really quick, skillful wingers, and last season, I mean, Dec Howe, you might have seen him if you've watched the Tottenham game. He was he put himself really in the shop window. I think a few people were surprised he didn't get a Football League move this summer. Perhaps still a bit of a raw talent really at times, and I'm sure he'll get his move away eventually. But yeah, I mean, he's been brilliant for us last season, and he's going to be very, very dangerous, I would say, going into this season. I'd expect him to probably start against Scunthorpe as well. And then you've got players like Tom McGlinchey, who's a very, very clever player in terms of a winger, scored quite a lot of goals for us last season. He came from Colville, who were in the Southern League, and really, really kind of shrewd signing from us that one. Then we've got new players like Tyler Roberts. He's coming from Fylde, so he's obviously got National League experience. He's been really good for us in pre-season. We've got an exceptionally good defence. Same goalkeeper that was there during National League North season, Jazz Singh, and he's been with us for I think seven seasons now. So he was with us, I think, the first season we went down to the Southern League, and then he's kind of stayed with us throughout, and he's been absolutely brilliant. And then the defence is really solid. So we've got Hayden Hollis, Jordan Conley-Liebird, and Kennedy Deege were the kind of main centre backs that were sort of rotated last season. They've all stayed, which is great. We obviously lost Dan Creaney to Solihull, which was disappointing, but it's one of those moves where we just couldn't compete really, even with Solihull, who are basically one of our local sort of rivals, although we don't really see him as a derby, if I'm honest. He ended up going there, and then we've actually brought in Manny Duku, who was at Solihull at the end of last season. He's played quite well during pre-season, so we're hoping that he can kind of take on that mantle in Dan Creaney's place. We've got some good experience across the pitch. We signed Alfie Bates as well. He was who was at Brackley last year. Has played a lot of games, and a chap called Stephen Moles, who's come from Curzon Ashton, who apparently was sort of like someone rated him the best sort of part-time player below the National League level. So that was a bit of a coup for us, I would say. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that we can do. We can, with how we did last season, we can attract the best part-time players, which in some cases for a club of our size, even if we went full-time, we still probably are not going to be able to compete with some of the bigger full-time clubs. So it kind of, in some ways, that is a nice little advantage for us, and I think we've got a good group of players together as a result of that.